Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Wandering Neuron, where we let science and philosophy lull us into thoughtful dreams. Tonight, we're stepping off the edge of the familiar and drifting into one of the deepest questions the universe has ever whispered into the ears of humankind. Does time really exist? Not metaphorically, not philosophically, but in the most real, measurable sense. Does time, as we experience it, actually exist at all? You see, we've built our lives around the ticking of clocks. We rise, we work, we age, and we pass on, all under the reign of time. But modern physics, with its strange and wondrous theories, has begun to tell us a very different story. So, tonight, we're stepping off the edge of the familiar and drifting into one of the deepest questions the universe has ever whispered into the ears of humankind. Let's begin. Before we unwind the threads of time, let's pause in the comfort of what we think we know. From the moment we open our eyes in the morning to the drifting seconds before sleep, we feel time as a flow. It has direction. It has speed. It feels real. Seconds, minutes, hours. Our entire civilization is bound by time. Calendars, deadlines, memories, history. But even in our everyday experience, time behaves strangely. Why does it fly when we're happy and drag when we're bored? Why do memories distort it? Why does anticipation stretch it? The brain doesn't keep time like a clock. It weaves it. And here is the first hint that maybe, just maybe, time isn't what we think it is. Albert Einstein changed everything. In 1905, his theory of special relativity shattered the Newtonian idea of absolute time. He showed that time isn't fixed, it stretches and shrinks depending on how fast you move. Clocks on a spaceship traveling near the speed of light tick slower than those on Earth. This has been proven with real clocks on airplanes and satellites. Then, in general relativity, he went further. Time bends in the presence of gravity. It slows down near massive objects. This means there's no universal now. Your now is not the same as mine if we're in different places or moving at different speeds. Time became a dimension, like space. We live not in space, but in space-time. But even this beautiful vision has cracks. It describes time, but doesn't explain what it is. One interpretation of Einstein's spacetime is the block universe. In this model, the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. The universe is like a loaf of bread, and each slice is a moment in time. All slices exist. All are real. We just experience them one by one, like a needle sliding through the loaf. In this view, time doesn't flow. It simply is. This raises profound questions. If the future already exists, do we have free will? If the past is still real, do we ever truly leave it? And perhaps most hauntingly, if time doesn't flow, then what does it mean to live? Even if all times exist, why do we experience a direction from past to future? This is where entropy comes in. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that disorder, or entropy, always increases. A broken glass doesn't unbreak. A melted candle doesn't reform. This increase in entropy creates what we call the arrow of time. It's the only place in physics where time has a direction. But entropy is statistical. It doesn't prove time flows, it only describes the most likely outcomes. Is time's arrow just a trick of probability? Are we only moving forward because backward is less likely? Quantum mechanics is the theory that governs the smallest parts of our universe, atoms and particles. It's full of uncertainty, probability, and strange behaviors. But here's something even stranger. In many quantum equations, time isn't even present. For example, the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, a key attempt to unite quantum mechanics and gravity, has no time variable. It's timeless. This suggests that at the most fundamental level, time might not exist at all. Instead, time may emerge, an illusion created when we look at the universe in a certain way. If time isn't fundamental, then where does it come from? Some physicists believe that time emerges from quantum entanglement. When particles become linked, their states are connected, no matter the distance. These correlations may give rise to the appearance of time. Others suggest that time is a byproduct of change. We only perceive time because things change. But what if change is just a rearrangement of a timeless reality? In this view, time is not a container we move through, but a pattern that emerges from relationships between events. Loop quantum gravity is one of the leading candidates for a theory of quantum gravity. It attempts to merge general relativity and quantum mechanics. In this theory, space and time are not continuous. They are made of tiny, indivisible units, quanta, like pixels in a digital image. Time, then, doesn't flow, it ticks. But not like a clock, like the rhythm of space-time itself. These moments don't sit on a timeline. They form a network, a web of relationships. The sequence we perceive as time might just be our brain's way of organizing this web. Even if time is an illusion, we can still measure it. Atomic clocks are the most accurate timekeepers in the universe. They count the vibrations of cesium atoms to define the second. But all we're really doing is comparing one change to another. When we say a second has passed, what we mean is this many vibrations have occurred. We're not measuring time, we're measuring motion. Time might not be real, but change is. And perhaps that's all we ever had. Now let's step into the mind. Our brain doesn't perceive time in a constant stream. It takes snapshots, it edits, it guesses. In moments of fear, time slows down. In deep focus, it disappears. In memory, it stretches and folds. Some researchers believe the brain builds time from sensory input, piecing together a story after the fact. If the brain can warp time so easily, what does that say about its reality? We live in 3 psychological times: memory, anticipation, and the now. Memory gives us identity. Anticipation gives us goals, and the present is always slipping through our fingers. But even the present is a construction. Neuroscience shows there is a delay. Our now is a stitched-together illusion, a mix of recent past and near future. We're always living slightly behind. Time, it seems, is less like a river and more like a painting being touched up in real time. Some philosophers argue that consciousness creates time, that without a conscious observer, the universe exists in a timeless state. In meditation, in dreams, in altered states, time vanishes. What if time is simply how consciousness experiences change, a function of awareness, not the cosmos? This would mean time is not a property of the universe, but a property of us. Imagine a universe without time. No before, no after. Just a vast configuration of possibilities. In this stillness, change happens, but not in a line. Events relate, overlap, echo. Our experience of time might be like the movement of a flashlight across a painting. The picture is always there. We just see it one glowing moment at a time. We are not traveling through time. We are illuminating it. Now imagine a world where time, doesn't tick. No seconds, no minutes, no before or after. Some modern theoretical physicists propose just that. In attempts to unify quantum mechanics with general relativity, a strange conclusion emerges from certain equations. Time might not be a fundamental property of reality. The Wheeler-DeWitt equation, often described as a kind of quantum gravity wave function of the universe, has no reference to time at all. No t, no ticking clock, just a timeless field. It's like walking into a painting where every event has already happened, already exists, but nothing moves unless a viewer comes along to notice. From this viewpoint, what we perceive as time may be a construct, not something the universe has, but something we impose to make sense of change. It's unsettling, perhaps even haunting, a universe without time. But it is also deeply serene. What happens to the human brain when time loses meaning? There are moments, during deep meditation, or under the influence of dreams, music, or even psychedelics, when time seems to melt, to slow, or to vanish. In these states, the default mode network of the brain quiets down. Activity in the parietal cortex, which helps us locate ourselves in time and space, reduces. What's left is a feeling of unity, of now stretching forever. Mystics have described this as eternity. Scientists might call it temporal disintegration. But for the experiencer, it feels peaceful, like a return home. Perhaps we're not just measuring time with clocks. We're feeling it, breathing it, projecting it. And when we let go, when time disappears, something ancient awakens in us, the timeless part of ourselves. The great physicist Carlo Rovelli suggests that time is not a universal truth, but a local illusion, a shadow cast by change. He compares our experience of time to the way we see a rainbow. Rainbows aren't real objects. They appear only when conditions are just right. Light, water droplets, and your particular viewpoint. Could time be the same? What if time only seems to flow because of the entropy we observe? Because things tend to disorder? Because we, as limited beings, see one slice of the universe at a time? And if we could step outside of time, not just emotionally, not just mentally, but truly, physically, would we find the universe frozen or complete? A sculpture of infinite events, a cathedral of moments forever standing, untouched by the ticking of any clock. Time, then, becomes not a river, but a map. And maybe, just maybe, our consciousness is the explorer, traveling not forward, but simply through.
Now, let's wander into the strange realm of time crystals, a recent mind-bending discovery in physics. Unlike regular crystals, which have a structure that repeats in space, imagine snowflakes or diamonds. A time crystal is a system that exhibits a repeating pattern in time, without using energy. In 2021, scientists successfully created a time crystal using a quantum computer. This isn't science fiction, it's science. What does it mean? It means that under certain quantum conditions, change happens without time passing. The system oscillates between states eternally, as if it's dancing to a beat we can't hear. In a way, time crystals are a rebellion against our understanding of time. They don't decay, they don't settle down, they persist. They suggest that motion may not require time. a paradox, a new door. And once again, we are reminded, the more we understand the universe, the stranger and more wondrous it becomes. Long before physics and thermodynamics, long before atoms and entropy, humans wondered, is time part of the soul or separate from it? Ancient philosophies from the East, from Hinduism and Buddhism, saw time as cyclical, not linear, a great wheel turning endlessly, births, deaths, rebirths, each a season in the soul's long journey. In Plato's Timaeus, time is created alongside the cosmos as a moving image of eternity, not real in itself, but a reflection. And in the book of Ecclesiastes, we hear, "To everything there is a season, a time to be born and a time to die." Even today, neuroscience hints at this inner clock, the circadian rhythm, a biological flow pulsing through every cell, like an echo of some older beat written into us before we were born. Could time be woven not only into space, but into being, into the rhythm of the heart, the pacing of our breath, the silent ticking of our thoughts? Maybe we are not simply in time. Maybe we are time.
Let us now travel to a place where time stops. The event horizon of a black hole, that mysterious boundary where even light cannot escape, marks not only the end of space, but of time as we know it. If you were to fall into a black hole, hypothetically, of course, an outside observer would see you freeze at the edge. To them, you would never quite fall in. Time would slow, and then stop. But to you, falling inward, nothing would feel strange. You would cross the horizon in an instant and descend into darkness. This contradiction tells us something astonishing. Time is not absolute. It's warped by gravity, twisted by mass, dilated and stretched and squeezed. At the center of a black hole, where density becomes infinite, our equations break. Time no longer makes sense. It folds, or disappears, or transforms into something else. And perhaps, beyond that veil, time has a different name, something we cannot yet imagine. But maybe, one day, we will. Now let's twist the ribbon of time into a loop. In some solutions to Einstein's equations, such as those involving rotating black holes or hypothetical constructs called closed time-like curves, time may loop back on itself. In these strange geometries, a particle, or even a person, could return to their own past. Cause could follow effect, or effect could create its own cause. The implications are dizzying. Could a message sent backward in time cause its own origin? Could a future thought echo backward into your past mind, like a whisper heard before it's spoken? While these ideas are theoretical and highly debated, they suggest that time's direction may not be fixed, that what we call the past might be just as pliable as the future. Perhaps the universe is not a line, but a spiral, and somewhere within it, Your future self is dreaming of you. What if every moment splits reality? According to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, every quantum decision branches into a new universe. Flip a coin, and in one world it's heads, in another, tails. In one, you stayed. In another, you left. If this is true, then there are infinite timelines, infinite yous. Some only slightly different, some unimaginably strange. Each version of you walks a different path, but all are equally real. In this model, time doesn't just pass, it multiplies. Each moment isn't a point on a line, it's a node in an infinite web. And your consciousness? It may be surfing that web, hopping from branch to branch, unaware of the vastness below. So next time you feel déjà vu or wonder what if, consider this. Another version of you may be living that other outcome. In a parallel timeline, time has taken a different shape.
Let's end this trio of thoughts, not in silence, but in song. What if time isn't a line, or a loop, or an illusion, but a kind of music? In music, we don't exist at the beginning or the end. Meaning arises through sequence, through change, through the relationship of notes. Time, too, may be the melody of the cosmos, each event a note, each moment a vibration. Not static, not absolute, but alive only in rhythm. And just as music requires a listener, perhaps time requires a witness. You. The physicist Julian Barbour once said, "Change is real, but time is not. The illusion of time arises because we see things change." If the universe is music, then maybe your awareness is the dancer. And together, you and the cosmos compose the symphony of now. Let's imagine a beam of light crossing the silent vastness between galaxies. Photons, the tiny messengers of light, travel at the universal speed limit, 299,792 kilometers per second. At this speed, time stands still for them, quite literally. From the photon's perspective, the journey from a distant star to your eye happens instantaneously. No aging, no delay, no before or after. For us, the light from a galaxy may take billions of years to arrive, but for the photon, there is no passage of time at all. It was emitted and absorbed in the same breathless instant. This paradox reminds us time may not be a fixed property of the universe, but a relative experience shaped by motion and mass. So every time you see starlight twinkling in the night sky, know this: you're catching timeless messengers, frozen in an eternal moment, delivering whispers from the deep past while never aging themselves. Beyond clocks and calendars, there are quieter timekeepers hidden deep within our cells. Your body runs on circadian rhythms, roughly 24-hour cycles that govern sleep, hunger, hormone release, and temperature. These internal clocks sync to the sun, guided by a tiny region in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. But even in total darkness, these rhythms persist. You are a creature of time, ticking silently from within. Time lives in your heartbeat, in the pace of your breath, in the slow aging of skin, the growth of hair, the rise and fall of mood. And on a smaller scale, individual proteins and molecules oscillate in a rhythm, as if your very chemistry is humming a quiet lullaby of change. So even if the cosmos had no clocks, your body would still remember time. What is memory if not a way to hold time in our hands? Every moment you recall, a laugh, a loss, a scent in the summer air, is a mental time machine built not of gears and wires, but of neurons and feeling. Your brain doesn't just remember events, it relives them. The same circuits that fired during the experience light up again during recall. You are not watching the past, you are re-entering it. But memory is not a perfect recording. It drifts, it warps, it changes each time it is retrieved. In a way, we reshape the past every time we remember. Our minds are filled with time capsules, yet each is soft clay, not stone. So perhaps time is not just what the universe does, perhaps it's what the mind makes. And through memory, we become time's artist, reshaping its flow, coloring its tone, and occasionally forgetting altogether that it ever passed.
We fear death because we believe in time. But if time isn't real, then neither is the end. The moments we lived still exist, like pages in a book. We just stop turning them. In a timeless universe, nothing is truly lost, only hidden from view. Even if physics suggests time is an illusion, we still need it. We need it to plan, to dream, to remember. Time gives life structure, meaning, urgency. Perhaps time is the most beautiful illusion we've ever believed, and maybe that's enough. So, does time really exist? Maybe not as we think, not as a river we float upon, not as a ticking that governs the stars, but something is here. Change, pattern, relationship, and the awareness that moves through it. In the end, time might not be real, but you are. Your awareness, your wonder, your wandering. And maybe that's the only moment that truly matters. Until next time, dreamers, keep wondering, keep wondering. Good night.